Hey guys, what's up? Today I'll be testing the most affordable DAC and headphone amplifier stack of SMSL audio. If you just got your first set of headphones and your smartphone or laptop aren't doing them justice, then you definitely came to the right place. While very small and affordable, they still got plenty of features and there is a lot of power under this very small hood. You can get them together at less than $300 and it's time to check out if they're worth it or not. What was surprising to me is that even at such low prices, we're still getting fully machined aluminum enclosures and a matte black remote control with the SU-6. They have a tiny footprint looking like shiny metallic bricks to me. All the screws were moved to their backs and instead of buttons we got mechanical switches that would provide a longer service life. Moving on to controls, the biggest surprise was seeing 4 digital inputs on SU-6. And besides USB Type-C, a coaxial, optical and Bluetooth antenna socket can be spotted on its back. As for the amp, there is a pair of RCA inputs and outputs too, since it can work as a preamp for your powered loudspeakers. SH-6 got a single 1/4 inch headphone jack, 2 switches and a volume wheel, while on SU-6 you'll see just a single input selector button and there's a small monochrome LCD screen that will be providing basic information as the selected input, volume position and sample rate. As for tech inside them, SMSL went with a flagship mobile chipset, more exactly ES9038Q2M, that is being buffered by 4 OPA 1612 op amps, which are known to be smooth and natural sounding. Bluetooth 5.0 is on board, including the latest codecs as LDAC and aptX HD. There are 2 crystal clocks and an XMOS receiver for a stable communication with your source. As for the amp, SMSL used their own low distortion precision feedback amplifier modules that are providing 2.6 watts in 16 ohms and half that power in 32 ohms, which is impressive considering its size and price point. What's even more impressive is that several analog relays are in place that will be improving its volume control. Alright guys, this is pretty much it, so let's hit some eardrums. Since I'm describing an entry-level stack, I'll use less audiophile terms so you can better understand me. I will start with the things that weren't that impressive or just plain bad, and in my case I believe that the volume port of SH-6 was the biggest problem, because it introduced some noise and the channel balance was not really perfect. So those analog relays, I believe that they are helping, but only to a certain degree, because on high gain, on much higher volumes, I was getting some residual noise with all my headphones, with no exceptions. So even desktop planar magnetic headphones were getting some noise. So of course you can almost forget about using IEMs with this amplifier. So on low gain and low volume, again, I was spotting noise with IEMs, even with the Apos Caspian, so I don't believe this is an IEM friendly amplifier. Secondly, when I was using desktop headphones, when I was going much lower on that volume, the left channel was louder and on much higher volumes, the right channel was much louder. So yeah, there is some channel imbalance that's not quite okay, but hey, at $120 you cannot possibly expect just a perfect volume pot and or maybe a Alps Blue Velvet or something like that, because this amplifier right here, it costs only $120. Luckily, noise floor and that channel imbalance was the biggest problem, the biggest issues that I've seen with both devices, and everything else just performed above my expectations. To my surprise, the SU-6, so the DAC, was not hiding tiny nuances from me. On the contrary, I believe that it's quite clean sounding, quite detailed. I could spot tiny feet movements in live records or just people inhaling or exhaling air in their lungs. Those OPA op amps didn't make them bright or harsh sounding. I even tried plenty of aggressive sounding tracks like rock and metal, Even on the Heifman Sundara, I couldn't make this combo harsh or bright sounding. The absolute best pairing was with the Apos Caspian because it elevated that bass and that mid-range region, so I could sail through my blues and jazz collection with a stupid smile on my face. There is definitely a slightly higher, let's say, detail retrieval to what I was expecting, let's say so I find them quite transparent sounding. But since there is little to no flow, I believe that I'm getting a dead neutral presentation. And after splitting them apart, it was clear to me that I'm liking the DAC considerably more because it was not adding any type of noise, it was completely noiseless, meaning that all the noise and channel imbalance was coming from the amplifier itself. Another surprise for me was how powerful this tiny amplifier really sounded. I mean, driving decently a pair of Otis LCD4 and Kenton Rognir planar at around 12 o'clock on its high gain, I believe I just told you everything you need to know about this amplifier. And while 2.6 watts per channel isn't that much, its high gain that adds 15 dB of gain just added a higher headroom with all my headphones, so you can easily use your entire planar magnetic headphone collection, even high impedance like Sennheisers or Beyerdynamics. Another standout was how clean and how detailed this amplifier sounded. I mean, hearing a clean and detailed sounding 1000 amplifier is no surprise, but hearing all that in such an affordable unit is actually quite a big surprise. I believe that it sounds more or less the same with the SH-6, so its bigger brothers, SH-9, so it has a very similar tonality. It doesn't really elevate anything in the frequency response, so bass, mid-range and treble, everything really plays on the same level. And I believe that both units aren't trying to alter the signal in any way. Standout number 3 was how speedy and how impactful this stack really sounded. Forget about crazy dynamic swings, that will not happen with the stack right here. For that you'll need some pricier units. Forget about a hammer-like bass slam, again that wouldn't happen. But still I wouldn't call them boring or shy or just lacking engagement factor. I mean, it didn't pass and sub-bass notes already were making their presence felt, so Heifman Sundara worked really nice with this stack, actually better compared to even much pricier portable digital audio players, mostly because I've got more power on tap and more headroom with the SMSL stack. So long story short, I've got most of the signs of well-driven headphones. I had a pretty nice control of the drivers. Everything sounded quite speedy, quite clean, so there is actually not so much to complain about both units. While I don't game that much, I believe that this combo can form a really nice stack for you hardcore gamers. So these are quite small, so they won't rob too much space from your desk. You'll be getting a clean output from the DAC and plenty of power from the amplifier, so you can drive even nicer gaming headsets like Odyssey LCD GX, like Sennheisers. And after a few rounds of Heroes of the Storm and a few hours racing through Mexico in Forza Horizon 5, it was pretty easily focusing on anything really and getting all those sounds. Another interesting aspect is that SU-6 provides you 4 digital inputs, so you can hook it up to your gaming console, to your TV, to your receiver, so the possibilities are almost endless. If your TV doesn't have Bluetooth functionality, then you can connect it via optical to the SU-6 and your gaming headset via Bluetooth to the SU-6, and that worked really great in my case. While you cannot possibly expect getting just a massive left-to-right soundstage, I believe that the sounds were not collapsing on my head, and I was still getting an out-of-head experience, even with crowded music like pop and electronica. The interesting part was getting just a very precise location of the notes around me, so I could focus easily on the notes playing in the background. So in the end I've got just a medium-sized stage, but a really nice imaging. In this regard, they remind me very much about the sound of entry-level THX AAA amplifiers, about the sound of topping NFC amplifiers, and I believe that they've got pretty much the same technicalities as speed, impact, detail retrieval, and a neutral presentation, but they aren't that impressive when it comes to scale of the music. So these devices right here are offering single-ended outputs, so you can almost forget about a really nice channel separation due to a weak volume pot, and all that translates into a less spacious sound that can take off and fly around you. When it comes to frequency response, I believe that SMSL tuned this combo in such a way that the frequency regions wouldn't feel elevated or dropped, just choosing linearity above anything else really. Their bass output is fairly clean, quite fast, quite impactful. They can reach 20 Hz notes, but they cannot sustain longer bass notes like double bass, like organ pipes. Nonetheless, the bass was clean, impactful, it was never boring, it was never muddy sounding, but it was not bottomless and effortless. For that, you'll need some pricier equipment. I enjoyed my time the most with the Apos Caspian and Hyphaman Sundara that were really nicely driven, delivering a few layers of bass without raising distortion to alarming levels. When it comes to mid-range, you'll be getting a dead neutral presentation that never tries to be overly smooth, nor does it try to be thin or lifeless sounding. Luckily, male voices didn't sound like females, and there is still a small seed of naturalness. If you'd like to have more warmth, more smoothness, I believe that it would be wiser going with an entry-level tube amplifier, with an entry-level R2R DAC, but if you like to hear the truth alone and just being as close as possible to the source material, then you'll be getting exactly that with the SMSL combo. As for treble, both units are going for an extended treble delivery, so you can hear those drums, snare drum hits and cymbals very clear, very defined without really overdoing it. I'm glad that they went with OPA op amps that slashed some glare and listening fatigue, but you can still get some of that with the wrong headphone. Sometimes the treble presence was higher, sometimes it was lower, so it really depends on the headphones that are being connected to it. And overall, I've got an extended and really neutral frequency response without rises or drops, but you'll certainly get a little bit more treble energy. As for my conclusions, I wasn't happy getting channel imbalance at low and high volumes, and of course a higher noise floor with sensitive IEMs. Apart from that, they delivered clean sonics, never trying to mess with my entire music collection, and frankly they sounded above my expectations. I mean, I'm still describing a very affordable stack that could easily drive most of your headphones, including heavier loads, and there would be always some headroom remaining on top. If you just started this wonderful hobby and your laptop or smartphone isn't doing justice to your headphones, then I'm happy to recommend the SMSL stack as a good starting point. Okay folks, I hope you enjoyed my review. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as usual, listen to my music, be positive, and I'll see you around.